All right, squad. Welcome back to Friday Night Prepper Pre-Party Show. It is so good to be back here with you all. Been looking forward to this one all week long. Really excited. I hope you all are having a good Friday. If I'm having any problems with audios, if you aren't reading me, please let me know in chat. I see I've got several people already checking in chat. Let me say hi to a couple people who've been very, very patiently waiting. Sassy Gal Prepping, thank you so much. It's always good to see you, my friend. Wow, I got some serious glare going on. I apologize for that. James, good to see you. James, I dropped your package in the mail today. That should be on its way. David Edwards, good to see you, my friend. Scorpion Metals, always good to see you. Gus Wolf dropped your package in the mail as well today. And let's see, Cold War Prepper Lee, how you doing, my friend? It's good to see you. Lazarus Long, how are you? And did I miss anybody? Susan, thank you so much for joining us. Michelle, all right, cool. Nerdy Prepper, Treasurer Investor, thank you so much. All right, appreciate everybody coming out early. So got a couple quick announcements tonight before we get into the topic. And I want to just start with really quick. So it's kind of surreal to think about this time of year, 4 years ago, the entire world was about to change, right? Like we didn't even realize how crazy things were about to get. We had no idea. But 4 years ago, the entire world was about to change. And you know, most of us have some non-prepper friends, right? Maybe they like snicker and maybe they make comments and maybe they, you know, like, ooh, Doomsday Prepper, you know, like make fun of you or whatever. But here's the thing. When they say stuff like that to you, just smile. Just you don't need to engage in it. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to snicker back. Because 4 years ago, those were the same people that were fist fighting over the last roll of toilet paper. And those are the same people who will say, well, I know where I'm going when the SHTF happens, right? And, you know, on my channel, we take a different approach to things. A lot of other channels will say, you know, well, they're going to be met with not welcome. We'll just say it that way. They're not going to be welcome when SHTF happens. Here on my channel, you know, we take a different approach, and I recommend that you consider this. But of course, I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. You need to run your homestead the way that you're going to run your homestead. You need to take care of your family the way that you take care of your family, right? But my thoughts on it are, when people say that to me, when they say, when the SHTF happens, I'm going to come to your house. My response to them is, well, listen, first of all, if things get that bad that you need to evacuate to my place, there's a pretty good chance I'm already gone, because I live in the city. Okay. And but let's say that's your plan. And you think that you got a chance of somehow safely making it to me. Okay. Then you better bring a tent, and you better bring some gardening tools, and you better bring an attitude that you're ready to work, because I have enough food for my family. I don't have enough food to feed everybody. So you're going to have to work for your food, and I will teach you foraging, and I will teach you gardening, and you're going to have to pull your weight. And that's the approach I take. I'm not a person of violence, right? Like I'm trained in some violence. I have a black belt. I know how to defend myself, and I hope I never have to use those skills. Yes, I have pew pew pews, and yes, I've had some training. I competed in IDPA, and I did Appleseed training, and I did some other training in airsoft with some former infantry guys, and learned different things like fatal funnel and breaching and flanking and slicing the pie, and all those kind of things that you should do if you're really going to get serious about that stuff. But it's not really my style. I'm a healer. I'm a healer by nature, and the last thing I want to do is hurt anybody. I'll only do it if I absolutely have to. And maybe that will be the end of me. Maybe that we did some polls in the past, like what will undo Sarge when the end finally happens, and the number one thing that people voted on is he's probably going to get killed trying to help somebody. Yeah, that's probably true. Anyways, I hope you all are having a great Friday night. Today, we're going to talk about, a follow-up to last week's show, where we had our guest Carly Fairchild on from seasons 3 and 5. If you haven't checked out that interview, I have it pinned on my channel. So when you load into my channel homepage, it's the first video that you'll see. And I'll leave it up there for a while. You definitely should check that out. Carly is a phenomenal person. Very much consider her to be a kindred spirit in her approach to life and nature and healing and mindfulness and all those things. I consider her to be a very, very good soul. So check out that video. And this is kind of a follow-up to that. We were talking about the gear that she took on her trips to Alone. And so I made me think all week long, like, what would I take? What are my 10 items? So as I talk about my 10 items that I would pick, I want you to also let me know in chat, or if you're watching this on replay, in comments, what are some of the things that you would pick as your 10 items, right? What I found is I did this little thought experiment this week is that it was pretty easy to get to 8. And then the last 2, I really had a hard time choosing. So we'll talk about all that as well. Allison Silverland, thank you for joining us. Burpee Yoga Uncle, it's always good to see you, my friend. Let's see. They see my shelves and think I'm a closet Cooper. I'm not. Yeah, and so that's the other thing is I know a lot of people say don't tell people you're a prepper. Yeah, I mean, as somebody who's made my channel around this, it's a little late for that for me. But if you're not making content around this, maybe you're somebody who just comes and lurks in the live streams and you never actually comment, and that's okay. I get it. I totally get it. But there's a lot of wisdom to that too. Maybe you just, if you're going to tell anybody, maybe you only tell the like-minded people, right? Maybe you tell other preppers and stuff, right? So that's up for you to decide. Again, you got to run your household the way that you think is the best. Yeah, airsoft is great. Like, especially if you do the milsim airsoft, right? So don't people think like, oh, haha, it's like Nerf. Not really. It's the equipment's very, very realistic. So for example, I've got an AR airsoft one that is basically all of the functions are exactly the same. So it's a great way to train without putting risk of or using live ammunition, which is very costly. I've got a Glock clone, which is, I mean, the weight, the dimensions, everything. It's almost exactly like a Glock. So you can do your training and you'll build those muscle memory without having to go through expensive ammo and that kind of stuff, right? And when I was doing this stuff, when I was competing with the doing the airsoft, I got to work with a lot. I was because it was a milsim field. I got to work with some former infantry, and that's where I learned a lot of cool stuff. All right. Yeah, I see some people already throwing in their Radio Jonesy. It's good to see you. I see some people already throwing in some of their suggestions. God is great. It's good to see you, my friend. How are you doing, Titus? So that was thing one. Yeah, check out that video from Carly. Thing two, those of you who may already be familiar with Praxis Prepping, he is going to be my guest next week. Praxis is another person that I've always wanted to collaborate with. I also consider him very much like-minded. I think a lot of his approaches to things are very similar to how I approach things. He's a lot more handy than I am by like a long shot. We're gonna talk about that next week. So Praxis Prepping will be on. And then I just got a communication earlier today from our friends Hudson Valley's Survival Prepping. We're organizing a little collaboration with them to have them guest here on April 5th. So we got some really cool guests coming on. I'm reaching out to a few other people that I really would love to have on the show. So if you're watching this, you know who you are. And yeah, next thing, silver. I hope you caught my alerts. I tried to get the word out to as many people as I could that yesterday was one of the best sales in silver that I've seen in years on AppMax. So I hope you saw that, and I hope you got to take advantage of that. I've been waiting myself, like just kind of sitting on a little bit of cash, waiting for that right opportunity. And yesterday was that day when the spot price was at a fairly low point, and AppMax ran a really good sale. So I jumped on it. I got some silver coming and another gold piece, and I'll show you guys that when it's coming. And I hope you got to take advantage of that. This is why I tell you guys, put those notifications on, and turn the bell notification to alert all, right? Because I catch sales and stuff like that, and I want you guys to be aware of them as much as I take advantage of them. All right, next thing, prizes. All the prizes from the giveaway should be either out in the mail, or some people have notified me that they've already gotten them. Now, if your prize was that like a code that the company was supposed to contact you and they haven't yet, I need you to send me an email at businesswithsarge@gmail.com so I can follow up with them. Because if I don't hear from you, I assume that everybody's got their prizes. Okay. Let's see what else. I got published in Off Grid Online magazine. You know what? We'll drop a link for that for people. So if you haven't seen that, I put it in the community posts, and if you could check it out, I really appreciate it. If you can give me some feedback on it, I really appreciate that too. So a couple people were asking me, is it in the print one? So the answer to that is that it is on the online version of Off Grid Magazine, and there's a chance that it will be in the print one when the next issue comes out later this spring. So just keep a heads up. I will tell you if that happens. There's also a chance that my article doesn't get picked. So, I just don't know until we get closer to that. But this was something I was really excited about, and I couldn't tell you about it until it actually happened because, there's lots of things that could happen. It could have fallen through on me. So. Um, yeah, you guys have some great suggestions in chat already. Awesome. All right, so here's my link for that article, and it's also in community posts if you want to check that out. And I appreciate it. So, what else? And then there's some new merch up in the merch store. Check that out. And also don't forget if you're watching this, if you're a new subscriber to the channel, welcome. Don't forget to check in the description. I always put links and discount codes for products that I think you will like, some of which we're going to talk about tonight. Products that I think might help you in your preparedness journey. And let's get right into it. So my number one thing, my first thing out of the box would be either a hatchet or an axe. Okay. And preferably an axe. But I would settle for a hatchet. And the reason, and I don't typically carry that in my pack, if I'm going out like hiking and things like that, I have one in my vehicle, but I don't typically carry it with me. But if I knew I was going to be out stranded in the wilderness for an extended period of time, I absolutely would want a hatchet or an axe for processing wood better than I can with a knife and for building a much better shelter, right? So like if I'm lost in the woods, I'm going to build like a really rudimentary shelter that it's only going to maybe a night or two. Is going to work for me for a night or two. If I know I'm going to be out there for an extended period of time, then I'm going to want to build something a little bit more substantial, a little bit more. It's going to give me more warmth and it's going to give me more protection from the elements. And that's going to require either an axe or a saw or both. Okay. So that was the number one thing. Yeah, totally. That's not a bad choice there either, Scorpion. I hear you. All right. Just checking to see if I missed anything. Oh, Susan, I love that. Thank you. Tell your daughter thank you. We need help. We need help in this profession. If you're new to my channel, you might not know I work in the mental health profession. So absolutely. Thank you. That is great. Awesome. Alice picked up some Libertads. Fantastic. Cool. All right. So my number two item was a ferro rod. A really, really good ferro rod. Like this is a good ferro rod. This is the Wazoo survival gear one. But as much as I love this, if I knew I was going to be out in the woods for an extended period of time, I probably would get a bigger one, a big ferro rod. If I get to pick, and that's one of my 10 items, I'm going to probably go with one that's a little bit more beefy. This is a good like backup one. This is a good like emergency survival one. Number three. And yes, I understand the concepts of a hand drill and a bow drill. I have not gotten a hand drill fire, and I've worked on it, and I will continue to work on that. And it's a lot harder than it might look on TV or YouTube video. I have gotten bow drill fires before in the past, but it's been a while since I've done it, and it's very exhausting. It can be very frustrating if there's just a little bit of dampness. It can be really hard to do. So yeah. So yeah, I get the concepts and I know how to do those things, but I would bring a ferro rod. Number three would be a deep cooking pot, one that I could not only cook in, but also boil water in, right? And at least a couple quarts of water at a time, because processing water would become one of your most tedious and necessary and ongoing tasks if you were living in the woods for a long period of time. You would have to keep almost nonstop processing water. So I would want a deep cooking pot for that. Okay. Knife. So let's talk about this, right? So I want to know. I see all your suggestions there, folks. What knife would you bring, right? Like you have to have a knife. Like you have to have a knife if you're going to go and try to live in the woods. Two that come to mind for me, and I'm not saying these are the only two, but Carly talked about hers, which I have with me here today. So that is the LT Wright Genesis. All right. This would do the trick. This is a great capable knife. It's got the 90-degree spine. It's got the Scandi grind. This is definitely not a bad option to go with. So this is the LT Wright Genesis. Certainly would be on one of my, like, narrowed down to like my top 5. And then this would also be this would be a contender as well, because I like this one a lot as well. This is the SE4. SE also makes fantastic knives, and this has the 90-degree spine and also has a Scandi grind, and this is a great bushcraft knife. So this is the SE4, also a very, very good choice. I would also consider a Tops knife, right? Tops is also a fantastic high quality they make high quality bushcraft knives. So certainly those 3 would be in my top contenders. It's hard to narrow it down, right? Like Bear Forest Knives, I love Bear Forest Knives too. He makes great stuff. Garrett makes really cool products. It would be hard to make that choice, but basically I'd be looking for something that's got a little bit of high carbon steel in it, right? As opposed to stainless steel. Now, a lot of times I do like stainless steel because it's corrosion resistance, but high carbon steel it tends to hold an edge longer. So in a true survival situation where I'm going to be out in the woods for an extended period of time, that's probably what I would lean into a little bit more. I'd probably go with a really strong, high quality, high carbon steel. Let's see. Yeah, Lee agrees with me. The Genesis with the Scandi grind. James says an e-tool. That's a great idea. I didn't even think about a shovel. Dang, see, you just added another thing that I probably should think. Now I could bushcraft something that would function as a shovel, but not as good. You're talking about the well, I guess they're both decent sized. Folding lockback knife, yeah, and a solid knife on the pack. Yeah, so if I could have unlimited items, I definitely would have a folding knife too, because 2 is 1 is none, right? It's a backup, it's redundancy, and you could use them for different purposes. Yeah, stainless has pros, which is again the corrosion resistance, but it dulls quicker. You're going to need to be sharpening it up, and I am going to talk about that part of it, sharpening too, as well. Oh, Wayne, man, that bums me out. Yeah, sorry to hear that. That's not good. I must have ticked off the YouTube algorithm gods again. Figures. Yeah, so if you didn't get notifications, folks, do me a favor, just go ahead down right now to the subscribe notification thing and just click notification again and check to make sure you have all turned on. Sometimes YouTube like changes it, and I've had that happen for several people that I subscribe to. And yeah, lo and behold, it's survival channels or Second Amendment channels or channels that cover knife content. Shocker, right? Like that those are getting that they're messing with channels like that. So just go down there and check to see if that hasn't been tinkered with. Make sure it's checked to all. Virginia Bushcrafter says he would go with a 5-inch Scandinavian grind knife, high carbon steel. Yep. If carbon steel. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and if you guys are enjoying this at all, please consider giving me a thumbs up. If you don't like my content, don't worry, give me a thumbs down. Either way, it helps me out in the algorithm, so I always appreciate the feedback. My next one is no, okay, so Mac got his. Okay, thanks, Mac. Appreciate it. Good to see you guys, by the way. Thank you for those of you guys who are just popping in now. Appreciate you. Next one, number 5. My number 5 item would be paracord. I would, as much paracord as I would be allowed to bring. Now, yes, I can bushcraft some cordage in the woods. It is extremely time consuming. Extremely. Like I've showed you. Bear with me here a second. So like this is some bushcraft cordage, and that's maybe 2 feet, maybe a little bit longer than 2 feet. That took an hour. And it's not as strong as paracord too. Like I can't break it like that, but I wouldn't say it's as strong as paracord. Right. So it is extremely time consuming. Now you might say, well, you're going to be out there in the bush anyways. Most of the time you're going to be passive fishing and stuff like that. So there might be time to be weaving while you're doing it. Sure. But having a hank of paracord right out of the box, you're going to be able to set up your shelter a lot quicker. And then as you're making your cordage from natural leaves and stuff like that, you could probably reclaim the paracord and use it for other things, right? So it would give you an advantage out of the box. Cutco doesn't make outdoor knives. Yeah, definitely you got to have an axe and probably a saw too. You at least need to have one. Yeah, absolutely. Paracord bracelets are good. You're probably I don't remember if you get like 12 feet or 15 feet with them, but they're definitely a nice way to have some paracord on you. Some guys also, or some I shouldn't say guys, some people also will change out their shoelaces or bootlaces for paracord as soon as they buy a new pair of boots. So you've always got a little bit of paracord there as well. And then, there's other ways like people will weave it into other stuff that's part of their EDC. So they might have a little bit more that they're carrying that way. But when I don't always carry paracord with me, but when I'm out in the woods, if I'm camping or hiking or backpacking, yes, I do. I always carry it with me then. Okay, next one. Number 5. I would definitely number 6, sorry. Number 6, I would definitely bring a tarp. I would definitely bring a tarp. So in the beginning, again, just gives you a little advantage right out of the box for your shelter making. And I saw that some people put like survival blankets. You could go that way too. And then if I built up my shelter good enough, I might be able to reclaim that tarp and use it as a blanket. I might be able to use it to catch rain. There's there's actually a way to boil water within a tarp too. So basically what you do is dig a hole in the ground, and then you're going to lay your tarp so that it's like sinking into the hole, right? And then what you're going to do is you get your fire going a few feet away and put a couple rocks right next to the fire so they get real hot. Fill that hole that the tarp is covering. Fill that hole with water. It could be dirty water, whatever. And then you're going to take when the rocks are super hot, you're going to drop them into there, and it will cause the water to boil. Not the best way to purify, but it's certainly an option in a survival situation. So just another one that you can kind of keep in your mind. So there's a lot of cool things I could do with a tarp. You could wrap, on a cold night, I could wrap myself in it as well. As kind of a rudimentary blanket. Again, not your best option for that, but it certainly is better to have it than not have it. So tarp would be number 6. Hey, Rural, it's good to see you. Appreciate you. And all right, so number 7. And number 7 for me would be a stainless steel water bottle, like something like Clean Canteen. Clean Canteen makes great products. It would be a stainless steel single wall water bottle that I could also boil in. But so you've got your pot for boiling water, but then you have to have a way to like store the water so that you can keep boiling and pouring the clean water into your water bottle, because it's going to be a constant act of hydrating, especially when you're shelter building. If you've never done it, you never built a survival shelter out in the woods, you're going to burn a crap ton of calories. You're going to sweat like crazy, and you're going to dehydrate really, really fast in the process of building your shelter. So you have to keep hydrating. So water boiling, I'm telling you, would be like a nonstop task. So I would have a water bottle, a stainless steel water bottle would be my number 7 container. That would be your 4 C's. For those of you who know the 4 C's, that would be my container. All right, number 8 might be a little controversial. So right now, I think most people would agree on those first 7. This is where it starts to get a little tricky and individualized. So life straws, I see James said life straw. Life straw is not a bad option if you get the water bottle version of it. What you don't want to do is completely relying on the life straw, because you're pretty much going to be having to keep going down into a puddle or getting real low every time you want to drink. And you have to like pull really hard through those too. So that's going to get exhausting after a while. Your best bet is like, how do I process water in mass. That's kind of, if you're going to be there for a long time. Now in a survival situation where you just like think I might be stuck overnight, yeah, but stick one of those in your backpack. 100%, not a bad way to go. If I was going to be out, if I thought I was going to be out there for a long period of time, I think I'd want something that's going to be able to let me process faster personally. All right, so my number 8 is a little controversial because this is where it starts getting a little bit more individualized. Is I would take a sharpening stone with me. So this is the Wazoo Survival Gear Viking Whetstone, and this is fine. You could bring a bigger one, but this works great for all tasks. I use this a ton. If you didn't bring a whetstone or some type of sharpening system, then you're probably going to be looking for a river rock and trying to find the smoothest river rock that you can. And yeah, it'll work, but it's not going to be as effective as something that was designed for that purpose, which is what this is. So I would use up one of my 10 items to bring a sharpening stone. Virginia Bushcrafter says for water boiling in a mini Sawyer. Sawyers are good. Sawyers are good. Yep, we got some of those too. All right, now this is where it got really hard for me. My little thought experiment. This is where I'm going to tell you the items that I narrowed it down to, and I only get to pick 2 more, right? So this is hard. Now, one of those items that you could choose, you are allowed to bring some emergency rations. Now, the problem is with the emergency rations is that's not going to get you 30 days in the woods. That's not going to get you 2 weeks in the woods. It's going to get you like maybe 1, maybe 2 meals of emergency rations. So why would you use one of your items for that? Well, because maybe in the beginning you're having a hard time locating food, right? Or maybe you just have a string of like 3 bad days in a row and you can't find any food. Can't catch any fish. You can't, there's no wildlife near you. Right. So you can make a case for that. I get it. I get why a lot of them do that. And Carly said that was one of her picks, is she brought some emergency rations with her. I don't know. That's a tough one for me. I almost want to go with one of my other, would pick something else over that. Now you got to have something to hunt with, right? So for me, my options would be a bow or a slingshot. This is tough. Yeah, that's a good choice there too. Gives you a little jump, because getting dehydrated in the first 3 days is definitely taking out a few of those contestants. It's absolutely happened. Yeah, water would be Burpee Yoga Uncle said it right there. Water is critical. Water, we're not going to make it far if you don't have fresh water, or a way to make water fresh, right? Slingshot or bow? Let me know in comments or chat, which would you pick, slingshot or bow? This is hard for me. I feel like with my experience with hunting, which is not great, I'm more inclined to go with the slingshot personally, because I would be more likely to go after small game personally. If you're a very experienced hunter and you're very comfortable with the bow, you're 100% going to be better off with a bow. 100%. I'm not completely inept with a bow. I have some experience with it, but I'm not an expert either, right? Could I get good in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks if you knew you were going to go on the show and you had a couple weeks to prepare? I could get better, but you can't get good, right? You can get better, but you can't get good. So I'm inclined to say I might personally go after the slingshot, and just like that I might be looking for small game. But I get it that like if you're very experienced with a bow, you're much better off with a bow. Let's see what you all said. Which one do I have the most practice with? I would say slingshot. I'm more competent with a slingshot. You can be if you practice a lot with it, and depending on what you're bringing. Like there are ones that are extremely accurate with a little bit of work. Maccabee says slingshot. Yeah, and that's a good. Yeah, you could also use the food for trapping and baiting. That's a great thought there too. I didn't even think about that. That's right. That's good thinking. Michelle says slingshot. James, I don't know if they would let you, if that's one of the items you can choose a crossbow, because if it was, that would change the game for me, and then I would go crossbow. Wayne says bow. Yeah, Lee, I'm probably a little bit more competent with a slingshot, to be honest with you. Unk says slingshot. Rural says bow. Yeah, and I'm kind of going on the assumption that I can find some semi-smooth rocks, like that it might be near a river or something like that. You'd go with the bow. Virginia Bushcraft says slingshot. That would be one of my concerns as well. And if you don't have like something really straight like bamboo growing near you, then it's going to be really hard to replace that. Yeah, and you know, you can learn that stuff. Those are all bushcrafting skills. You could do it, but you need to have to make adequate arrows. You're going to have something like bamboo or something that grows really straight to be able to make it work. Haven't practiced with bow in years. Slingshot practice last year and before. Okay. Yeah, and definitely I would work on my snaring and trapping. Because you want passive hunting, right? Like Lee's suggesting there. So while you're boiling water, you've already got your trap set, right? And then maybe you can be working on your shelter, right? So you have to be thinking about like multitasking, especially if you're by yourself, because there's nobody to share the workload with. Pentucky says slingshot. Yeah, you can bring a fishing net. That's definitely that's one of the options that you can choose. Hey Angie, it's good to see you. Appreciate you. All right, so slingshot or bow. So I'll say for me it would be slingshot, right? If I had to make a decision, like they said today, and by the way, just to be clear, I'm not trying out or submitting an application to be on a loan. I'm way too old and I have way too many bodily injuries at this point to go for that. If you're thinking about it, then there's like Freedom, who was on here a couple shows ago. He's trying to get on the show. They do look for people, and you can submit your application, and they want to look at your social media, and they want to look at your videos, and they want to see your skill set and stuff. I just want to be clear, I'm not doing that. Like those days, if I was going to do it, unfortunately for me, are in the past. The best I can manage right now is I go out for a few days by myself, and I bring some modern gear. I don't limit myself to 10 items, but I do try to do like some solitude, like a walkabout, and I try not to talk to anybody, even if I encounter people, unless they're talking to me. I'm not going to be rude to people, but that solitude a couple times a year of just not talking to anybody, being alone with my own thoughts, being alone with my creator, and having some spiritual connection and connecting to nature, super, super powerful for me. Helps me to keep my own sanity, keep my own happiness. So I do that. But 80 days in Patagonia, like Carly did, I'm not going to make that. Those days are behind me, y'all. Nope, just me tonight. I have Kentucky. I've got Praxis next week. Praxis prepping is coming on next week, and then in a few weeks, I've got Hudson Valley prepping and survivals coming on. All right, so next one, we're getting near the end here. Fishing tackle is an option. That might be worth taking your 10th slot for that. You can bushcraft hooks, and if you already have paracord, you can make some line, and there's some stuff that you could do. But having real hooks is a game changer, right? Having a real tackle is a game changer. So that would be a strong consideration for my last one. Right. Now remember, I didn't pick a saw as one of mine. I picked an axe. But many people bring both, right? And you can make a heck of a good shelter if you have both a saw and an axe. So that was another one. Another one that I don't see too many people bring, but I would say would be worth considering would be salt, right? Why salt? You guys answer that one in chat and in comments. Why salt? Why did I think that salt would be a good item to bring? While I go on to the next one. You can bring Gorilla Tape or cargo tape, and that actually could be pretty handy for field repairs on your tarp, field repairs on your clothing, field repairs on your slingshot, field repairs on your knife handle. It can actually work as like a bandage because you're going to get a lot of cuts. Honestly, just going for a weekend to do a little bit of camping or backpacking, I end up with like a ton of cuts, just from like walking through the brush, whittling, cutting wood, things like that, I end up with a ton of cuts. So you could use cargo tape or Gorilla Tape for that. All right, let's go to comments here. Yeah, so here's the thing. Lazarus asked about you can't take a refrigerator now. You can bring some rations. Oh, curing meat. Yeah, so I gotta back up a little bit. I think I went too far. Oh, that's really cool, Lee. Have you done a video about that? I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that. Just to back up one more, Susan. So I've done a couple videos about like what I bring on when I go for one of my backpacking trips, and I've done videos on like if I'm just going for a day hike. It's pretty similar to this. It's except that I don't necessarily bring a tarp, but I've got a poncho that could be used like that. So that would be like something different. But a lot of this stuff is similar to what I like my regular survival kit. All right. Sorry, I lost my place here. Yeah, bushcrafting hooks is not easy and they're not extremely effective. Salt. So why salt, guys? Let's see. Curing meat, Angie said. Yeah, you could probably work something out like that with some salt and smoking. Cramps. Yeah, it's for the electrolytes. Your body needs salt. You have to have salt. Your body has to have salt. So Lazarus Long, you cannot bring prescription meds. You cannot bring prescription meds. And one of the contestants, Nicole Appalayan, has multiple sclerosis, I believe. And she had a hard time because she generally usually forages for most of her medicine. She uses a lot of plant medicine, but where she got dropped off did not have anything that she could use to effectively treat her MS. And ultimately, that's what took her out. So you cannot bring prescription meds. Salt for food preservation. Yep. And you need those nutrients. Yeah, the body needs salt 100%. Now, I didn't ask that of Carly. Maybe they give you salt. I don't know. Maybe they give you salt. Oh, you can't. Okay, so you can't bring enough salt to be able to cure with it. Okay. Yeah, so a little bit in your water bottle will help with the electrolytes. I know my camera's flashing there, guys. I don't know what's causing that. I'm sorry. Yeah, and it's really hard to replace that stuff with nature. Yeah, bacon. I don't know if you could bring Everclear, but that would be kind of fun. Virginia Bushcrafter. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. They might have that in there. I should have asked her that when she was on last week. That would have been a good question. All right, so then the last couple things here, we said salt, fishing tackle, saw, Gorilla Tape. Okay. So you could make a case for this last one here too, which is this is the Grail water filter, and this is the one that I use when I go on my day hikes. This is the one that I always carry, and you can purify water pretty decent with this. And why would I bring this if I already am going to be boiling water? Because there might be times where this is just going to be a whole lot quicker. So for the convenience sake of this, it might be worth using an item, one of your 10 items for something like this. Or maybe you say Sawyer or Catadine or whatever. But the Grail works really, really good. And you can use it as just a regular water bottle too. So this could potentially, I don't know if they would let you do it that way, but this could potentially be your container instead of the stainless steel one, but I can't boil with this one. They do make one that you could boil with. So I don't know if the producers of the show would allow that or not. It basically functions the same way as this, which is basically, to give you a real quick version of this, you fill, so it separates into pieces. So you fill that part up with your dirty water. This part is your filter. So then the filter goes in. And then as you mash it down, so then you're going to put this back on top. And Wayne just won one of these, by the way, or he won a $25 gift card to get one of these, or to whatever he wants on the website. Then you vent it so that the air can escape. And as you're pushing it down, and it takes a good amount of pressure, as you press it down, it's purifying it because it runs through the filter. So that is a huge time saver. And maybe there's days where you can't get your fire going. Things are too wet. You still got to have water. You still got to have water, right? So if it's not raining but everything is damp, that would be a situation where, yeah, I could probably squeeze some water out of leaves and moss and things like that, and it's probably going to be okay. This one's kind of peace of mind. So I don't know. That would be one that I would have to give some consideration to as well. So that's the problem here, folks, is that you get down to like 7 items and it's pretty easy, but then the last 3 or so is really hard to figure out, like, what am I going to use those last 3 for? So let me check your chat one more time, and then we're going to start to wind this one down. Do it, All American Prepper. Put in your application. If I was 20 years younger, I'd probably go for it. I'd probably try. I've got some medical issues that would probably prevent me from winning it, but I still would like to see how far I could go. Go for it, man. Definitely. I would, in the case of if I was going to be out there for a long time, yes, I would prefer a tarp over a poncho. For my day hikes, poncho is fine. Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would. It would be a nice thing if you were in an urban survival situation, maybe you could build one. Yeah, no worries there, brother. Appreciate you. Yes, that's 100% true. So when you're boiling water, it doesn't take out if there's heavy metals, which the locations that these guys are going to, there shouldn't be any of that kind of stuff. But uh, around, where most places in the United States, yeah, there's definitely a risk of like heavy metals and some other stuff, chemicals. Yeah, so I know Grail does make one that you can put on the fire. You can boil in. Yeah, and Virginia Bushcrafter has done some cool videos about that. You guys, if you're not subscribed to Virginia Bushcrafter, definitely go check him out. He's doing some amazing bushcraft and survival stuff and shows you the work, right? So, there's a difference between like a video like this where I'm sitting and I'm talking about skills, and I know I haven't done one of the ones where I go out and show you stuff lately. I promise you, I'm going to get back to it. Just life is super busy for me right now. Virginia Bushcraft will take you out there and he shows you the work, right? And definitely, if you're not already subscribed to him, definitely check out his channel. Sodium isn't the only one. Yep, potassium, calcium, magnesium. Yep. You are right, sir. And I don't know, maybe they give them vitamins. I don't think they do though. Salt might be in the emergency kit though. That's probably a good point. Okay, no problem. Gotcha. Yeah, that's not good, man. James, that's not good. Yeah, actually, one of the mods, if you can, if we can drop a link for Virginia Bushcrafter's channel, I'd really appreciate that. If one of you guys don't mind grabbing that, please. So let me go ahead and start to wind this one down. And I want to say a couple of things here real quick. So number one, just to remind everybody, I am doing a thing for 2024. If you are a first responder or a veteran and you own a business, I'm giving free shout outs to first responder and military veteran owned businesses. All you need to do is send me an email at businesswithsarge@gmail.com and we'll talk, and I need to know a little bit about like what you're doing and that kind of stuff. And you guys know, if you've been with me for a while, I don't like to collaborate with people who are putting out hateful content. So as long as you're not doing that, we should be good. Just be kind to people. That's all I ask for. Like, let's try to be kinder to each other. This world is on the verge of tearing itself apart, right? We all know that. We're all preppers. We don't need to add to that problem. Like, that is, I'm working on a video that, right now I'm just kind of writing down my thoughts on it. How would you attack the United States? Well, it's already happening. Okay. How is it happening? Well, they're getting us to hate each other. They're getting us to hate our brother. They're getting us to hate our neighbor. They're getting you to hate your sister, right? And why? Because they're a little different than you, because they worship a different god than you, because they dress a little different than you. Maybe they have blue hair. Maybe they're bald like me. Maybe their skin color is different. Why? Who cares? You know, like just get over all that stuff, folks, because this is all being orchestrated. You're being harvested, right? Like they're preparing us for a harvest. And all they got to do, an enemy nation, to attack the United States very cheaply and very effectively is shut off the water and shut off the power. And we're going to eat each other alive, right? You know I'm right. Search your heart. You know I'm right. So we got to stop with the hatred and work towards love, okay? Or at least acceptance and tolerance. You can manage that, right? So sorry about my little soapbox there. It's just if you're a veteran or first responder and you got a small business, reach out to me. We'll talk, and I'll try to get you a little free shout out here. It's just something I want to do to give back to the communities that are very important to me. I appreciate you and I respect you and I support you and my love for those communities can't be stated enough. Okay, you are very important. You matter. All right, and then last thing here. Don't forget, if you're watching now, check in the description down below for some links and coupon codes, products you might like. I've got some new merch. Go check out my merch store. It's one of the ways you can support the channel. Most of the money ends up going back to you all anyways. Most of the money goes back to giveaways and things like that. Or I use it to film in certain locations and do things like that, where I can do stuff that I wouldn't normally be able to do without a little bit of a budget. So definitely check that stuff out. Any commissions I earn usually goes pretty much right back to the channel. So last thing. So Carly on here last week, we were talking a lot about mindfulness and, just kind of the power of our thoughts, right? And this is where I want to end with tonight. I try to end with something positive. The power of our thoughts. So whether you're Christian, atheist, whatever, if you know a little bit about physics, right? So we are on the verge. I hope it happens in my lifetime of uncovering the theory of everything, right? The binding relativity with time and physics and quantum physics, right? The theory of everything. And some of the mathematics is leaning towards the possibility, it's not proven yet, the possibility that the world that we see and believe is three-dimensional. I'm going to get a little weird on you here, but stay with me. This is coming from science, not from Sarge's weird brain. The world may not be three-dimensional. It appears that way. It's a very persistent illusion, but maybe the world is actually like more like a hologram. Okay, so if you think about this, might make a little bit more sense to you. If you think about you blow up our cells down to subatomic level, particle level, nothing is solid. They're just elements bouncing around, but they're so densely packed that it appears solid. Okay, if that makes more sense to you, then go with that. So we construct our world based on our observations. This is the concept of Schrodinger's cat, right? So if you know a little bit about physics, you know what I'm talking about. So Schrodinger's cat says that I know I'm getting complex here. Schrodinger's cat says that if you put a cat in a box with radioactive material, but you can't see the cat until you open the box. The cat is both alive and dead until you open the box. I may be paraphrasing that wrong, but basically, whether or not you observe that cat to be alive or dead happens when you open the box and observe it, right? So the world is constructed by your observations, and I hope you're following along. I know this is tough. It took me years of reading this stuff to understand it. So the world is constructed by your observation, okay? So your thoughts have much more power than you even realize, right? This opens up the possibility of like multiverse theory and different things like that. It's not a physics channel, so I can't go too deep down that path, but your thoughts have power. That's the concept I'm going with here. And you need to harvest that and use that in a good way, right? So if I look in the mirror and I say, dang, Sarge, you're stupid, you're fat, you're ugly, you're unlovable, nobody likes you. Look at you, you're bald, man. Right? If I do that, then in my brain, I'm not only am I releasing all these neurotransmitters that make me feel really crappy, but your brain responds to the programming, and the programming is your thoughts. Okay. So your brain says, oh, you want to feel bad? You got it. We're going to give it to you, and we're going to keep giving it to you because that's what you asked for. That's literally how it works. But if you know that, you can start to hack the code. and you can make it work for you in the other way. I know I just lost like 4 people. I'm sorry. I know I got too spacey with this. You can make it work for you the other way. So it just starts with thinking positive, especially about yourself, right? And if you have a hard time doing that, if you look in the mirror and you don't like yourself, then just start by recognizing how often are you doing that? How often are you thinking negatively about yourself? And just say, I got to stop doing that, because that will start to change the equation. It'll start to change the code. And then your world will start to look different. And when you start to believe it, when you start to think that you're smart, you're capable, you're loved, that you are funny and fun to be around, then also not only will your brain say, oh, that's what you want, okay, we'll give you that, but you're going to start to project it in your personality, and other people will pick up on it, and they're going to start to respond to that. And guess what? That's when you're going to get more people saying they want to hang out with you, and more people are going to say, hey, can you help me with this? You seem really smart, right? And it really does work this way. There's been numerous psychology experiments where they've said to somebody like, hey, just for 30 days, I want you to go into work and walk through those halls confidently, head held high, say hello to everybody that you see, greet them with a smile. And guess what happens? People start wanting to flock to that person, and they see them as, this is somebody I want to be with. This is somebody that's smart and likable and fun and funny, right? So you have that power within you to change your world. But if you always think, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm stupid, I'm always going to be poor, nobody likes me, I'm unlovable, I'm incapable of having a good relationship. If you think those things, that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. So you got to stop it. Okay. All right. I love y'all. I really do. I appreciate this audience so much. Let me check chat one more time, and then I'm going to call it a night for y'all. Shut off the internet. We'll be in chaos. You got that right. You got that right. Yeah, we are. We're destroying each other already. It's sad. All right, there's Virginia Bushcrafters channel. Make sure you all check that out, please. Yeah, Darth Sarge. Yep. I haven't done one of those videos in a long time. I don't know. I don't think my audience now would go for it the way that when I only had like 1,200 subscribers and I used to do the Star Wars characters and stuff. I don't think people would go for it now. Hey, Wayne, thank you for showing up. I appreciate you. You have a great weekend, brother. Nerdy Prepper Treasure Investor, you too. Have a great weekend. Yeah, we're doing pretty good at it, aren't we? We love to just hate on each other. Thank you, Wayne. Wayne gets it. Okay, yes, there's at least 11 dimensions, and we see things in 3D, but our brain can possibly operate in all 11 because of the functions that it performs. Okay, I'm glad that at least one person knows what I'm talking about. Thank you, Wayne. I feel validated. Yep, fourth being time. There's other theories that maybe like as many as, I think, 21 or 23 different dimensions. I want to see if I missed anything else. Have a great weekend, Maccabees. Appreciate you. Kentucky, good to see you. Which one is that? Is that the Wazoo one that I've got scrolling down the bottom? Yes, that should be working. Yes. All right, folks. Well, I appreciate you all. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for staying with me as I got a little bit like out there with the physics and spirituality stuff. It's a topic of mine. I wish I could go deeper into this channel, but I probably would lose some subscribers because it's not really what this channel is about. I appreciate you entertaining me there at the end while I went on my little rant. It's when I watch my own videos just to like chillax and just like enjoy my evening. I'm usually watching like physics and quantum physics videos and stuff like that. I know it's weird. I get it. I'm a nerd, but it's interesting stuff. And like I said, it took me 2 years of trying to figure out just like what Schrodinger's cat was, and wave collapse theory and things like that, and quantum entanglement. Like, but once I started getting them, like, oh man, then I want more. Like, give me more, because this is stuff super interesting. So I hope you all have a great weekend. Keep planting your seeds. Keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.